Sounds wild, but there were 10 moments in history when humans almost vanished for good. If you're alive today, thank the survival smarts of the people who made it through those 10 close calls. In this episode, we'll break those weird historical turning points down, clear and simple. From the late Pleistocene Genetic Bottleneck and the Younger Dryas to the Black Death, Tunguska, Tambora, and the Cuban Missile Crisis. And the night Petrov spotted a deadly false alarm and helped save millions. Late Pleistocene Genetic Bottleneck. Genetic data show that roughly 70 to 100,000 years ago, human diversity suddenly crashed. Translation: our effective population shrank for a while to just a few thousand. Hard to believe, right? That's basically the size of a small town. Many link this squeeze to the Toba super eruption about 74,000 years ago that blasted sulfate aerosols into the stratosphere. Those aerosols scatter sunlight, cool the planet, and mess with rainfall. Debate continues on how big Toba's role was, but the diversity drop is real in the data. For hunter-gatherers, a few lean seasons plus forced migration could be life or death. Our ancestors pushed through that crisis. That's why we're here breathing today. Younger Dryas, an abrupt cold snap. Roughly 12 to 9,000 years ago, just as glaciers were retreating, Earth suddenly hit the brakes and flipped into a cold, dry phase known as the Younger Dryas. It lasted about 1,200 years. A leading idea? A pulse of meltwater into the North Atlantic disrupted the big ocean conveyor and reduced heat transport northward. Ice cores and sediments back the shift, and in some places, it happened within decades. For people then, that meant large migrations, fights over scarce resources, and pressure to invent fixes like farming and storage. Some even argue that push helped trigger the move toward agriculture. The year 536 CE, the sun shone, but the world felt cold. Historical sources say the sun was dim, like its light was weak. The big picture? A cluster of massive eruptions lofted an aerosol veil high in the sky. Result? Cooler temperatures, scrambled rainfall, poor harvests, famine. Several studies point to hard hits in 536, 540, and 547. With fragile medieval supply networks, the climate shock stretched into a longer crisis. If societies had been even shakier, history could have bent another way. Plague of Justinian, the first loud alarm from the microbe world. Around 541 to 549 CE, Yersinia pestis rode trade routes into the Mediterranean and beyond. Dense cities, big granaries, and heavy ship traffic turbocharged the spread. Mortality spiked. Waves kept returning for years. Byzantium took a major hit, and the regional balance shifted. No one yet understood vectors, disinfection, or modern public health. That ignorance, plus vulnerable urban design, made everything worse. If transmissibility or lethality had been a bit higher, the demographic shock could have been much harsher. The Black Death, mid-14th century. From 1347 to 1351, parts of Europe lost 30 to 60% of their people. It came in through ports, spread inland along trade, and packed cities became hotspots. The bacterium moved via rat fleas, and then also human to human through the air. No germ theory, bad beliefs, and weak sanitation supercharged the damage. Medieval supply chains had low resilience. When workers died, planting and harvest stalled, food output fell, nutrition worsened, and mortality rose. That vicious loop pushed pressure higher. With a different mix of spread and fatality, it could have been even worse. If you're vibing so far, Hit like and subscribe. Let's keep going. 1815, Tambora and the Year Without a Summer. April 1815, the Tambora volcano in Indonesia blew with colossal power. Sulfate aerosols reached the upper atmosphere. 1816 became the Year Without a Summer. North America saw frosts in summer. Europe had gray skies and underripe crops. Mechanism 101. Aerosols reflect sunlight, cool surfaces, and scramble rainfall. A system that fragile today, without reserves and crop diversity, would be a global headache fast. Point taken. Climate shocks plus thin supply chains make long crises. 1908, Tunguska, the blast that got lucky with location. June 30th, an object exploded mid-air over Siberia. Energy was several megatons. Roughly 2,000 square kilometers of forest went down. Our luck? Almost nobody lived there. Over a city, that energy could have rewritten the 20th century. Together with Chelyabinsk 2013, hundreds of kilotons, thousands injured, it sends a clear message. Planetary defense isn't optional, it's essential. We need sky surveys, early warning networks, and test missions to nudge asteroids off course. Real investments, not luxuries. 1918 to 1919, the so-called Spanish flu. Late in World War I, an H1N1 virus jumped species and spread along crammed military and civilian routes. About 500 million people, roughly a third of the world then, got infected. Global deaths were in the tens of millions. Approximately 50 million is a common estimate, with uncertainty. Wild twist. Lots of healthy young adults died, likely due to immune overreaction. Cities learned that simple public health moves, masking, distancing, quarantine, clear comms, work. Places that acted early and lifted late rode the waves better. If it had been a bit nastier, or stealthier with a longer incubation, outcomes could have been far worse. October 1962, 13 hair-trigger days, the Cuban Missile Crisis. Soviet missiles went to Cuba. The US set up a naval quarantine. Recon flights, last-minute decisions, and human errors kept tensions red hot. A Soviet sub, B-59, nearly launched a nuclear torpedo, with heat, dying batteries, and signal confusion pushing the crew to the edge. Senior Officer Vasily Arkhipov said no and stopped the launch sequence. Models show even a limited exchange could flatten thousands of cities, send smoke sky high, trigger nuclear winter, and crush agriculture. Those 13 days could have changed everything. But timely calls pulled us back. September 26, 1983. Someone finally said, "This alert is probably false." The Soviet satellite system reported several US ICBMs launched. Protocol said, "Pass it up the chain toward a retaliatory strike." Duty officer Stanislav Petrov didn't buy it. A real first strike would be much larger. It was a false alarm. Sunlight off clouds had fooled the software. If his call had gone the other way and the error climbed to command, a counter-launch was possible. Then smoke, then war, then cooling, then a massive global food crisis. Sometimes the line between catastrophe and a clean escape is a single good judgment made in minutes. Put all 10 scenes together and a pattern jumps out. Nature doesn't care about our plans. Volcanoes, rapid climate swings, and space rocks do their thing. As societies build comfort, some risks scale up. Urbanization, trade, and war accelerate death and disease spread. Technology is a double-edged sword, from vaccines and observatories to nukes. In the end, human decisions can change the path, from a single officer in a control room to a city that masks up early and limits gatherings. Action items for today are pretty clear. Build strategic food reserves and crop diversity to ride out bad climate years. Make infrastructure climate resilient and support farmers so shocks become manageable bumps. Run disease surveillance with transparent data. Keep tracking asteroids and testing deflection so a city killer never happens. And lower nuclear risk while keeping hotlines open. Small choices, huge impact. Asteroid tracking and deflection tests are vital to avoid a city killer. Lowering nuclear risk and keeping hotlines open reduces system errors. Thanks for sticking around. Hit subscribe to catch the next drop on time. Turn on notifications, and if this helped, like it so more people see it. Simple moves, big impact. Help us grow a community that cares about data and science. We've hit the brink and come back more than once, thanks to luck, resilience, and a few right calls. Our job now? Shrink luck's role and boost smart decisions. This channel isn't about fear, it's about awareness. You're part of it. Drop your topic ideas in the comments.